Just watching the new Hellboy. I'm
Hey,
enjoying it. Fuck good.
how's your day been? Like, has it been good?
Sorry?
How has your day been? Has it been like
Oh,
good?
yeah, good. Fucking worked at the mill today. Did a little bit of stuff. Went and finished off another job that took a little while. And that was about all. It was hot as balls. Fuck, it was hot today.
Yeah, it was hot down here in America too, and it's surprising that it's hot for you. That means it's definitely hot up here, down here.
Oh yeah, man. It was trying to think in Fahrenheit, high 80s,
Holy
which is
fuck!
hot.
That,
Hot for us.
yeah, that's about what it was here. Well, no, it was about 70. Then it went to 80.
Yeah, it was in the direct sun. In the morning, there's frost on my windshield now. The
Oh, so
the
you guys
winter
get
is coming.
extremes.
Oh yeah, my whole life up here in regards to the weather is extremes. We have a 80-degree differential in Celsius and over 100 in Fahrenheit.
Holy fuck!
So like, yeah, we go from -40 centigrade
In one
to plus
day?
40 centigrade. Well, no, not one day. Like over the seasons, that's what
Okay,
I mean. Like we
okay.
get 40-degree weather sometimes in the summers, and we get -40 degree, which is the same in Fahrenheit in the winters.
If you look up Ohio weather memes, you'll see that we'll have like 30 degrees in the morning, and then by afternoon it's 90, and then by evening it's 60. Like we get extremes. Like we'll get thunderstorms, snowstorms, and then just drought weather. It's weird in
Yeah,
Ohio, bro. It's like an
that's pretty
anomaly
much.
to the rest of Midwest too.
Huh.
But from what it sounds like, you guys kind of experience those extremes as well.
Yeah, man, we just get a lot more cold for a lot longer.
Yeah, it
And I
seems
have,
like your stuff is like spread out over time, whereas us, it's like rapid fired, but still the same principle.
yeah, you just don't get it sticking around. Like you just get tired
I
of
would
the cold.
I would
And it's a
appreciate.
long winter. Fuck.
Yeah, so like for you, your long your long seasons suck. I would like a long season or a consistent season. Like this year is like the first year it hasn't rained much. Like at least in my area, it rains every year heavily, like almost year round, but it hasn't, and it's been way hotter than it normally is too, which is concerning.
Oh, don't be. We've only been keeping track of weather for 200 years. The same scientists that tell us about climate change are the one that told us there used to be mini ice ages. So fuck all those facts. They all just lie for whatever the times are.
I mean, that's a perspective to have.
Well, it
Like,
is. Well, think about it. We have to melt the polar ice caps. We're caught between a hot sun and a hot Earth core. There's nothing on Earth that actually makes cold air. All air conditioning does is take the heat out of the air.
that's true.
So there's
We
nothing
aren't
that's going to
creating
cool
cold
down the
air.
Earth naturally anyway. There's nothing we can do to stop it. You're gonna go fucking ask the sun to turn it down a little bit, go to the Earth's core and try to cool it down? Like,
Well,
fuck off.
part
Just
of
let the
that
Earth do what they
also
do.
is like them destroying forests and shit just for building factories and these $250,000 homes and shit. That also
Oh,
is a
that's
contributing
different.
factor to why the
Yeah,
weather is so hot and shit. But it's not the reason why, like, there's supposed global warming, like, but you understand where I'm going. It's like a minor factor in weather change, but it is a environmental factor.
the only thing I want human beings to fix that they fucked up is the oceans, because we can actually do that. There is a perceptible change if we were to stop fucking up the oceans.
I
In
agree.
regards to global warming, there's not a goddamn thing you can do. This is the Earth. It's going to do what it fucking wants, and we're along for the ride.
Yeah.
The least we can do is clean up after ourselves. Acting like
Because they
us
tried to
running
say the
vehicles and speeding
factories,
this up
like
is
these
ridiculous.
processing factories, were the cause of it. But when they did research, it was like more vegan shit that was causing environmental issues. It was like the more
These
safe
scientists
stuff
all get
does.
money. They all get money to come
That's
up with
true.
results that
Maybe
certain
that
people
result
want.
could be from money too, and it's somewhere in the middle.
Don't trust none of that shit. I'm gonna look up in the sky. As long as it's hot out, awesome. As long
That's
as
how
it's
I tell
cold
the
out,
weather.
awesome.
I can
It's
tell if it
fuck
may rain
anything else.
tonight, tomorrow, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than current weather. But
Yeah.
uh so what's been going on with D&D? We took a week off.
We did.
And
Basically, what
remember, I'm
happened? We
working
were
on
in
the
the
two
middle of
hour
a.
video. So, like, I'm working on that 2 hour video because I'm doing some special editing stuff, making it a little bit more presentable for
Yeah,
my
all good, man.
standards. So that's why it's taking a while. But, anyways, continue. Sorry.
This was a 5 session battle.
Oh,
It was
my
supposed to
God.
only be about 3 or 4, but Xander forgot it was Tuesday,
This is
last
right after the
Tuesday.
war, right? This is like right after the
Uh,
war. or the final battle of
This
the
is
war?
after that big battle. Yeah, oh yeah, the war's all done. This is that big battle that's taking place at the castle. I'll pull up the maps in a sec here. But yeah, they were in the middle of a 5-part battle where mid-battle they get super jacked with god-given powers to fight off the hill giant vampire and head off this run that's coming at them. So they end up doing so at King's Hold. And yeah, it's supposed to be 4 because they're missing Xander, they were missing that vital DPS. So it
What they
just
say? Did he
bled
get
over.
captured, or did the in
No, he
game
just
reason
forgot
he
it
was?
was he forgot it was Tuesday. It was a holiday last Monday for us.
Well,
So the
what I was trying to
Tuesday
ask,
the 6th
like,
was 9.
what is the reason why
Oh,
he
for his
wasn't in
character?
battle this time? Yeah, was his
Yeah.
character
So
hurt?
the excuse that I came up with is as I mentioned last time, I believe we left off where Andromeda was doing the ritual to make the temple holy again, like get rid of all the nastiness of Tixis. So they prayed to their god to do that, and he did a session or not a session, I guess prayer thing, and he had to do it for a certain amount of time, and they had to hold off the zombies while he concluded the prayer. And then once the prayer was done, the blasphemy of the temple would have been banished, and then it would be he's trying to get rid of the desecration. I was
Okay,
looking for
that's
that fucking
cool.
word the whole time I was talking. But yeah, they're trying to get rid of the desecration of the temple. So the
Oh yeah,
excuse for
after the
Xander
war,
was,
they still had all the undead and shit included. You know, after they fought Galdren and the war was over, yeah, that's right. They had to deal with the undead, which is the worst threat, the biggest threat.
yes, and that was their choice. They got to choose whether they were going to help the Northlanders or they were going to go to the wall
I'm
or to the
partially
wall,
recapping
the water.
for my own sake, so I can remember where we're at.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna show you the screen, and I think you'll remember. There it is. There we go. See it?
Oh, hold on, I gotta run away from the enemy. You caught me right in the middle of a battle, sir.
Yeah.
It's my fault for not being ready. Let's see if I can hide in here.
Yeah, the battle they're in the middle of is over 2,000 zombies were invading. They had to get the Galdren and uh, Watchmen to all work together to try and fight them off. They got to do some MacGyvering where Xander had some booby traps, and each one of them contributed in their own way to taking down the zombie count. They took the 2,000, I think it was 2,600 actually. They took the 2,600 down all the way to 900. And then right at the end of that portion of the battle, 200 more were resurrected. So then it jacked the number up to 1,100. And from there, they made their run to the Shrine of the All Gods
All
so
right,
that they could
let's pull it up, sir.
they could get rid of the desecration on the temple. What was that?
It says, "Pull it up, sir."
Excellent. You see, it probably jogs your memory. So yeah, they were at the Shrine to the All Gods,
Okay,
which else?
yeah. I remember that because after everything was over, they went back to like that little village on the outside, yelled at them a minute, and then continued on.
Yeah. So then from there, they went here, and then if you remember from last episode, I left everything where it was. This is how they were fighting.
Yeah, that's
So
right. I
the
remember
temple was
because I admired the
desecrated.
stained glass like 3, 4 times because of how
Yeah,
awesome it
and then
looked.
they fought the Defacer, and then from there there was all those corpses that were piled on top of this urn or not urn, lectern down here, and then there was a upside down T, which I'll show again. So there was this T here, and then they had to get rid of the desecration on the temple. So they ended up doing that, and where we
The
left
T
off
was for
last time
Texas,
was
right?
T is for Tixis, yes. So they got rid of the Tixis, and then the Andromeda charged outside right into the midst of zombies. This whole area is chock full of zombies, tons of them everywhere. So they left position in the battle, or sorry, we left off basically where they are right now. So after I talked about this portion of the battle, Xander ended up having to, or he forgot about the day.
Yeah, so
So the
he
excuse
was
I came up
hurt.
with Yeah, the excuse I came up with is he took over for Andromeda after she did the first part of the ritual, and then he did his part of the ritual as a representative of Duke as well.
To me,
And in
yeah,
that way,
that's
he could
good.
kind of be explained away from being in that part of the battle. Because he just ran out here last time. They got a couple attacks in. It's easy to just pretend in your head that he never left. He stayed there the whole time. She ran out. Now she's surrounded by the zombies. So
I like that. I really only came like asked about that for the sake of like continuity for the podcast
yeah, no worries.
because we're telling it
Yeah, I
like a
just didn't know how
story and
far
not like a
back
D
I
and
should
D
go.
game.
So we've
What?
got the hill giant vampire. He was over here, and then they also had some elite undead. There was 3 ghasts.
Oh yeah, big 3Gs, bro. Yeah, that's right. Because gas are my favorite
Yeah,
paranormal entity in D&D so far, other than the Beholder. But that's not really paranormal. That's more accursed, elder god type
no.
thing.
Keep in mind, this battle was never meant to be overly hard because I jacked them up. They got stat boosts, immunity to most,
Yeah,
pretty much everything these undead can do.
this is side
Um,
questing.
no, not side questing. This is the big end battle. Like this is supposed to wrap up this
The
chapter of the entire
okay,
story.
the war's
This is
over, but
their
the battle is still
contribution.
the battle of that final. The final
Well,
battle of
there's
the war is still going on, but the war is over.
yeah, the war itself is over because they had choices to make. There's consequences to everything. If
Yep,
they'd have
that's
chosen to go to help the king of Northlands in, or like the Alric, the guy who was going to try to get the Northlands away from Galdren, then they would have succeeded in doing that. And then this would have happened because they're not here to prevent what we're doing right now. The castle would have been overrun. Tixus would have obliterated all opposition, and he'd have started moving unopposed across the Northlands. So because they chose to go this route instead, they saved everybody. They've now stopped the foothold dead because they're going to win this battle. We played it out. They
yeah.
end up winning this battle. Took quite a bit of damage, but they did okay. So they
Every
get
leader
attacked
needs
by.
opposition worthy of opposition, or they would go unchecked, and we see how people end up when they're unchecked in power. But it sucks that they left that guy unaided.
It is, yeah, but that's what happens, right? He was fighting
Yep.
superior odds. The Galdren army was the best in the world. He had a bunch of Northmen who hated each other. It took him forever to get them all together. Once he got them all together to fight, they just faced superior odds because Withers took over all of the supplies that were supposed to
Oh
go to the Watch.
yeah.
They were able to then just they were had a supply base that was far closer than Galdren, and they were able to just pummel the Northmen and push them to where they won the war.
Yeah. Okay. I remember now. I see the logistics in it all, which is shitty for them. The good guys, the watch guys.
So they end up doing the battle without Xander, as I've said a couple times now. So we'll go past this. So Quick was up on the roof the whole time he's been sitting there. The Hill Giant Vampire actually left off over here at the end of that one. So Andromeda run out. Quick knew he was there. Shaw was at the door. Sverg was making his way up. These doors are technically open, wide open, so that they can be seen out. And the zombies are bearing down on everybody. The hill giant vampire saw them up on the hill, wanted to see what was going on. Quick watched him the whole time as a gaseous form, because he's a huge gaseous form, because he's still a large creature. And he ended up here. And here's where he coalesces back into himself.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
the the ghasts and the wraiths are making their way down through the zombie horde to get close to them. But the wraiths, while they're not held up by anything because they're insubstantial, so they can just pass through walls, they can go underground, the whole bit. They have to get there in a timely fashion. The ghasts have to actually shove their way through the zombies, but they're no pushovers and they have no compunctions about killing anything that gets in their way, so they just manhandle their way through the crowd. Quick sees a couple of each of these things bearing down on them. I'm going to call these the elite undead for this. That just makes it easier.
Yeah. Okay.
The
It
ghast
makes
normally
sense.
have a bite and claws that cause paralysis, but they are immune to this paralysis. So other than that, they just do D4s and D3s. They're not huge damage output. They rely almost entirely on the ability to paralyze their opponent. So without that, they're not that elite. And that was the point of this battle. I wanted them to be able to fucking flex their muscles and go kill some shit and have
Yeah,
some
it feel
fun.
good because they just want to battle, but they want it like
When
by the skin of
it
their
ended up
teeth.
being a good battle too. This
Yeah.
battle ended up being it was 28 rounds after all said and done. It's one of the longest battles I've ever ran consistently.
Holy
So
fuck,
then
dude.
there are 3 wraiths.
So there's 3 episodes
Each
that are
of the
yet to be
wraiths, yep,
released that contain this battle, almost.
yeah, that's fine. So yeah, the 3 wraiths, 3 gas. The wraiths steal your strength when they hit you,
Oh, that's a
and
good
when you
debuff.
attack them, you have a 50% miss chance unless you use something magical. So with that in mind, most of their powers are taken away. The wraiths are still immune, like they still have a 50% mischance whether they can be hit by objects, like swords and that type of thing. But if Andromeda uses her Call Lightning, which is what she ends up doing, she's able to hit them and actually hurt them quite well. So now I'm just going to go through the battle as it progressed. I might get a round here and there mixed up because there's so many of them. At this point, there's been an ongoing battle for about 17 or 18 rounds. I believe we start this on the 18th or 19th round. And from that point, Andromeda runs out, as I said. She sees the zombie horde bearing down on her and decides to put her back to the wall and watch the door. So, oops. Anyway, move. She moves back over here so that she can reach across the door because she has 10-foot reach. She should be able to cover anything coming through there that comes at Zverg. Shaw decides he's going to attack the Hill Giant Vampire, but Quick wants to let the Hill Giant Vampire pass beneath him so he can try to steal his ability to control undead, like he's already done in the past. And it's an effective tactic, and the whole group is behind him.
Hell yeah, bro.
He goes around. He should be a bit.
Sorry, I was just quiet. I was laying in my bed. My dog was in my bed. I was chilling with him.
Okay.
But I'm listening
So
to
Hill
you.
Giant Vampire walks his way. So he gets to about there and starts calling him out. Shaw has not actually gone out yet.
You fucking midget pussy! I am challenging you.
So he basically comes out and actually he does say stuff like that. Like he's yelling at Andromeda
I'm
straight
speaking
across
for it.
from him. Andromeda has decided that she wants to cast Call Lightning. Now, in the Call Lightning,
Ooh.
normally we're just not sure. Like it can be taken both ways. The
I'm a
gist of the
sorcerer, so I love it.
yeah. So he's it's druidic magic, and it gives you the ability to call lightning from the sky, and it's an ongoing spell. And to use it and
You have
do
to
other stuff
hold
in
it
the
for a while.
background, you have to do yeah, you can. It lasts for a certain amount of time. You get a certain amount of uses, and then those uses can be used up in a certain amount of time. There's nothing that really says that you can't have multiple castings.
Mm.
Caveat is you have to be able to make concentration checks to keep all this shit going.
That
And if you
makes
try to
sense.
do other stuff, it gets harder and harder. So the gist is you get the first call lightning for free, and the next one has to be at a concentration check. And if you want to do a third one, it'd have to be an even harder concentration
So
check.
you gotta
And if
hold
you
on the
fail,
magic, or can you?
yeah, and if you fail either of those concentration checks, you lose the spell entirely. So there is a pretty decent risk.
So do you have to hold her hand in the air and do the thing and use their free hand, or like you cast it and then you have free reign of using your hands? How does that work? Is it like
It
an
has nothing to do
MMO
with using your
or?
hands. You use your hands as the somatic part of the spell, and then after that's done, you just have to use an action, your move action, to cast the lightning from the sky. So you can
Okay.
actually attack and cast lightning, but you run the risk of being knocked off the spell if you fail that concentration check.
Oh, that
So
makes
his
sense.
purpose
Okay.
is to move back. He'll now something's foggy in my mind, and I'm sorry. Andromeda moved back, and Shaw ended up going to the Hill Giant Vampire. Oh, that's what happened. Yeah. So he passes below Quick. Quick has been hidden this whole time. I have the Hill Giant Vampire do spot checks. Hill Giant Vampire does not see through Quick's hide check. Quick attacks. Gets the sneak attack. Steals the ability to control undead. Now, at this point, he's stolen this spell a few times. So I tell him, I'm like, this spell is unlike any other spell in the sense that it's given by the Mythal that gives the worshippers of Tixis these extra spells they normally wouldn't have, and most of those spells revolve around controlling zombies to be their minions. So now that he's stolen this spell a couple times, he's getting better at it, and he learns the ability to see through the zombies' eyes. He's actually able to do that too, because the Hill Giant Vampire did that to them. He was able to see through all of their eyes. So he takes over the zombie after attacking him, and then tumbles. That's what he did. He went off the roof, tumbled down after he hit the vampire over here
Oh
away from him to
fuck!
lure him away.
That's
So
a
then the Hill
spill.
Giant Vampire ends up,
Breaking his fucking slipping his disc.
yeah, he ends up making the tumble check and following Quick. So he charges Quick from there,
Oh, he succeeds
misses
the
Quick.
tumble.
Oh yeah, Quick's awesome at tumble.
Okay,
So
good.
Quick succeeds at the tumble, gets over there. Hill Giant Vampire hot on his heels. Shaw charges him through the doorway. Boom, tied him up. After that, Quick tumbles away, back onto the roof. When he's on the roof, the Hill Giant Vampire screams at his incoming elite minions to kill the halfling because he doesn't understand what's going on.
Because he's
So,
retarded.
well, he's not very smart. His intelligence doesn't get buffed very much by being a
Attack
vampire.
him!
Yeah, pretty much. So he's just confused. So he just starts attacking Shaw, screaming at his minions to attack Quick, just
This
because he's hoping if he
autistic
kills Quick, he'll get
screeching.
his ability back. Now, at this point, Quick hasn't actually commanded the zombies to do anything that he took over. So now he, after doing that, luring the Hill Giant Vampire down to Shaw, he gets him tied up, and then Quick takes the opportunity to command the zombies. He tells the zombies to attack the Hill Giant Vampire. Reason being, if they go at the vampire, they're going to clog this area up, which will make it harder for the ghasts to get to them. The wraiths, they can't stop, they know it. But the idea is to clog up the Hill Giant Vampire and just get those extra free hits in with the zombies on his side. And then also to, yeah, just that was the plan.
That's a good plan.
Andromeda this whole time casted 2 rounds of Call Lightning, and also she was able to pick out a couple of the wraiths, and she starts attacking the wraiths right away with lightning strikes. She has 2 of the spells going simultaneously, and I also gave her, since she was god enhanced, I gave her the best version of it, because if it's stormy outside, you actually get better Call Lightning, and that makes sense. So I
Nice.
just said you get the power from your god to just call down the best version of it. So he's tossing around 3d10s, he's loving it, casting them all down, killing wraiths on their way up, or at least doing that. Zverg, in the meantime, Zverg has been in the back. He's been casting spells at the Hill Giant Vampire from the safety of the fucking inside of this room. The zombies are making their way around everything. Again, this is like Walking Dead style. They're all shambling their way towards it. Shaw, all by himself, is taking on the Hill Giant Vampire. He gets hit quite a few times. Hill Giant Vampire's hitting on plus 17, which means he's fucking hitting. And then when he does hit, he does a d6 plus 14 or something retarded. I didn't give him a weapon because I wanted it to be like they're vampires. They're not really scared of anything. They don't need weapons. They just use their claws and their bite, that type of thing. Well, not their bite, but their claws. So he's attacking Shaw back. It's going really well. During that whole battle, things progress to about here. Quick ends that whole battle by basically
Being a gangster ass
by getting
motherfucker.
attacked by the gas. I don't remember exactly how he gets back down to the ground. He ends up being surrounded by all 3 of the ghasts.
You said quick, right?
Yeah, quick.
I imagine him doing like a roll move and then spinning, chopping at all their fucking knees in the roll spin.
Yeah. And this is where he ends the combat. I'm sorry,
Like,
this
what?
was like 3 weeks ago. I can't remember exactly how he got down there. Maybe he didn't go back up on the roof like I'm thinking. But either way, he is surrounded because we just played 2 nights ago, and we took over from this portion here. Svarig, in the meantime, has been casting all the magic that he has at the Hill Giant Vampire. Shaw has been beating on the vampire. Andromeda's been casting lightning strikes at the wraiths. The wraiths end up making it all the way to about here, and Shaw, I
Hello?
think, yes, I think the closest one to make it to him got to the other side of him, but Andromeda's been hitting him as long as she can see them. So 2 of them are essentially wiped out immediately. Like they don't even really get there. One of them flies through this house, gets to the other side right here. Andromeda finishes him off. And then as the second one from here gets out to the other side of the house too, Andromeda just finishes him off because she hits him before he gets through the house and into the other. So the point is, Andromeda spent most of her time taking out the wraiths because she had the best chance of doing it. In the meantime, Quick just threw uh, being the one that the Hill Giant Vampire told him to go after, the Gats eventually get to him. He actually doesn't take that much damage because, like I said, they can't paralyze him.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Actually, I don't recall you saying
He's
that, but
taking,
that's fucking good to know.
yeah,
I forgot
taking
if you
on
said it.
average between 5 and 8 hit points of damage when he does actually get hit because they all jacked up ACs too from the buff. So a lot of this stuff needs 20s to hit him. The only one who doesn't,
Ooh.
obviously, is the
Okay. Okay.
vampire.
I'm following now.
But yeah, they're sitting okay. Like this is supposed to be a battle where it's just heroic as shit, like good old fashioned 80 or not 90s, like 90s action flicks where everybody has plot armor fucking 8 inches thick. And that's what I wanted this particular battle to be. It was never meant to be a hard one because the hard shit's coming. Zerg hits him with magic missiles, hits him with scorching rays, lightning bolts. He has all sorts of magic at his disposal, and he does a significant amount of damage. In the whole time, the Hill Giant Vampire is no slouch in combat. He has fast healing. Normally, he could only be damaged by certain weapons, but again, I gave them all the ability to get through it. The only thing they can't bypass is his fast healing. He has 126 hit points, something that neck of the woods. So a lot of hit points too. And he's healing 5 hit points every round. Over the course of it took them when they finally like actually got down to doing damage on him, he healed about 6 times. He healed 30 hit points. In reality, they did over 150 damage to him before he was down. If they didn't have any of the weapons, and I didn't give them any of the buffs, they'd have got obliterated in this fucking combat. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just, they're good, but they're not so good that they can fight all these zombies, fight a far superior foe in the form of a hill giant vampire, and fight all these elite undeads, which they had no answer to. The whites would have just flown through everything. Yeah, Andromeda more than likely could have killed most of the whites the way she did. But once the gas got around quick, Love quick to death, but there's no fucking way he'd have survived against all three of them. Even if they had to roll 20s, only one would have had to slip through. Once he does and he fails that paralyzed check even once, the coup de grace, he's out in one shot. They basically just cut his throat or rip it out, and he's dead. Like dead. So this could have been deadly for them. In the meantime, Xander made his way back. Unfortunately for him, most of the stuff was dead because, like I said, if he'd have been there for that battle, he'd have put the extra DPS on whichever of these groups of actual bad guys that mattered. He'd have been able to make that difference to do the tide, and then we would have finished that last session. I'm not trying to shit on him. Life happens.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
life does
instead, what he
happen.
did this battle was he ran up. He realized Quick was surrounded, so being the paladin, he wanted to help him immediately. So he went out, ran around the corner. Uh, in the meantime, Quick ended. I remember this much better because it just happened. Quick ends up tumbling through these guys to the other side to get away from them, which leaves Xander between them and them. Then Quick ends up tumbling over here to help, and then Xander tries to slow these guys down. In the meantime, Andromeda starts hitting him with this, and basically we only played 4 rounds of combat when he was there, and the Hill Giant Vampire was vanquished, and all the gas were killed, and yay, everybody wins, as it was intended. And that's it. That's basically the end of this chapter. And we've kind of already talked ad nauseum about my plans for what's supposed to happen next. So instead, we're going to jump to the fallout, or even just the ending of this. They are cheered from the castle, which can see them quite easily from the shoreline, as it's on the same. I think I explained this already as well. It's on the same height as the temple, so they can
Yeah,
see each other straight across. So everybody's cheering for them on here. It's kind of like
it's
and
crazy
the
that you
Star
can see the
Warriors.
big ass monsters from that distance too. That's pretty fucking
Oh yeah, they
awesome.
saw everything. They saw everything. The God-given powers start to fade,
Ollie, they saw everything,
and
buddy.
yeah,
Oh, you're trying to
and they
sleep,
they
dog.
just kill the rest of the zombies. Like without the guidance of that, they just become walking dead zombies. And Quick can actually control them for another like 3 or 4 minutes after everybody's dead. So he just sends some of them north to thin them out, and then the guys just come down over the walls through the gates, and they just start fucking cutting them down as fast as they can. So all the zombies are dead by nightfall, and that night the group goes down to Andromeda submarine or a submersible, and from the dock they see a lonely shape flying towards them. They recognize the shape as King Ash, the half dragon, flying across the water. He lands on the dock and congratulates them all. They're all alone, secluded, so they give him the rundown on what happened. He approves of it all. He tells them he's there as the representative to choose the new High Protector because High Protector Nathan's was killed. And there's a like the characters don't know this, but when a High Protector is killed, there's a certain magic item that's supposed to be activated, and that's what the like after the last battle where Nathan's actually was killed and everybody wanted to make Shaw the leader, and then they went and looked at the rules and they realized there was all this protocol they had to follow. They followed the protocol and activated the magic item, which was made after the magic draining, one of the very first items, period, that was made after all of them were drained. And after they activated this item, it sends out a signal to the rulers of all the countries involved in this coalition, and they all are aware that the High Protector's been killed. So they are supposed to immediately send representatives to elect a new High Protector. There's also, I tell them this after the fact because, again, they don't know, but it gets out eventually, that there is another magic item that's activated in the if there's an overrun. Like if everything fails, it's supposed to be activated. And since Withers orchestrated everything and he kept it secret, there was never any warning. So, like I say, if they hadn't have come here, nobody would even know. Not only that, they wouldn't know the High Protector was dead, and they wouldn't know the place was overrun.
True.
With that
True.
in mind, they actually made the right choice. They truly did. They made the right moral choice in a fucking battle full of bad choices.
It's yeah. You brought it up. I was gonna say. I was hoping I was able to say they made a good choice in Perennia, a place where a good choice still means you're fucking over innocent people somehow.
Yep, pretty much.
Fucking
And
good on ya. Good job, DM, for giving mercy to the people of Perennia.
well, they had so much to do. Like they had a lot of choices in that third
Oh, they're
phase.
almost
I pretty
gods
much
now.
told them. Sorry?
I said they're almost gods now. You don't have to take it easy on them.
No, not really. They're only seventh level. I only made them gods for this particular
I know.
battle because
I'm
I
just
wanted them to
kidding.
cut loose and have fun. And every like 5 sessions, all 5 sessions at the end, everybody enjoyed that battle because they went for 6 or 7 sessions at a time with no battles whatsoever. And I'm like, we may not have many battles, but when we do, they're going to be fun and big, and you're going to get to use all your stuff, and you're going to have to use your noggin. And then they did all of that stuff, and it was yeah, I enjoyed the 5 part battle, and I know they all did too. So it's a good way to end off that chapter.
Yeah,
And
for
now we're
sure.
dealing with the fallout of that. So this is like the prologue of
So
this
they didn't
chapter.
help the. So the
During this prologue,
Northlanders going to be in like Civil War or Free for All War,
yeah.
right? Since they didn't help them.
Oh, I'll tell you that, but I don't want to say on the podcast quite yet because I don't know when we're going to get to that portion.
Okay.
But I'll tell you after.
I
Anywho, they're
assumed as
all in the
much
dock.
because that was the other option they had versus say you fighting off Texas curse type shit.
Oh yeah, they got some stuff to do.
All right,
And yeah,
bro.
we actually went through it all last night too, so I can get to it. So King Ash meets them down on the dock. They're all alone. They give him the rundown, and then he looks at them all conspiratorially after they give him like that. So his people knew that he was coming. They come down. Oh, sorry. I was also saying that they get the magical pulse, and everyone's supposed to send representatives. He explains that he's there at the call of the pulse, and he's going to come to vote for his representative. He thanks them for all their service and gives a signal to his people. His people start filing down. You can't see me pointing. Huh? His people start filing down the road towards
Use your fucking mouse,
the thing
asshole.
as soon as they see him, because it's kind of hard to miss a giant half dragon man,
you,
and start
you
filing through
think
the
that,
portal that
bro?
brings with them. Sorry?
I said you think people can't miss it, but you
Yeah.
forgot people are dumb now. Just imagine how dumb they were back then in the fantasy world.
Well, there's always someone on the lookout for undead, so I mean, it gets out that
Okay,
King Ash is
I'll give
very
you that
distinct
one.
out there.
Even
He is
retards can
technically the
spot
only half
them.
dragon. Sorry?
I said even retards can spot a half dragon. I guess since that's like the only job some people have. I believe it.
Weapons that are making you repeat yourself. Okay, yeah, he is the only half dragon too. So they see him, they start filing through the portal. All of them get through the portal, and then he shouts up at the Galdren and the Northwind Watch. And he says, "See, I stuck to the truce and the peace treaty. I did not go anywhere I shouldn't go and fight in any battle I shouldn't." Which mystifies the companions because they don't understand the fine print of the peace treaty that King Ash had to sign. Peace treaty that
Mm,
King Ash had to sign, he was not allowed to lift a finger against Galdren for 20 years.
that's
Not
crazy.
only that, yeah, he was. They had to pay 100,000 in indemnities. They
Fuck
are not
that.
allowed. They are not allowed. They already did. They already paid it.
I
He
know,
didn't
but
care.
you know
His
what I'm
people
saying.
get to
The
live. He could have
principle
been
is fuck
wiped out.
that.
Yeah, he
That,
also didn't lose any land. He's
that
just not allowed to
oh,
settle any naval bases for 50 years.
that's kind of
So for
shitty, but
50 years, they
that's a
are
good
not
deal.
allowed to have a naval base. There's ways around it, but as you're going to see, it's going to be irrelevant. So from there, he looks around, yells that up at them, and they all nod because they understand it too. The only ones out of the loop are the characters and the people on the watch. And then he himself turns to the characters. Now they're all alone. He puts his back to the people on the wall, and he slowly and very empathically looks at Andromeda and says, "When I was flying here, I saw a giant wooden monstrosity. It is probably the largest ship I've ever seen, and on the name of that ship it said the Andromeda. I'm sure you
Oh,
know who might be on this ship at this time. And I
oh,
just happened to see this. And I'm not allowed to do anything to them. But you, my dear, there might be something you want to take care of."
yep.
And then he flies away.
Oh, this is juicy. This is juicy, bro.
So they get exactly what I'm getting at immediately,
Please
and
don't
they
be a
begin
red herring,
discussing
or
amongst
I'll
one
fucking kill
another.
you.
It's not a red herring.
All right,
If
thank
they
you.
okay, you'll see what happens.
Okay.
So it is not a red herring. I'll tell you that right now. Withers is on that ship. He is fucking there. He is on it. It is the Andromeda for real. The 100 hippogriffs are there. The 2,000 man crew is there. It is exactly as I described. It is exactly that ship. And I tell him this. I'm like, I'm not fucking with you. King Ash wouldn't fuck with you. I'm not fucking with you. if you want to go after Withers, you have 1 day before he's supposed to get here. That's what King Ash estimated at the pace that it was going. So he just lets you know that and fucks off. What do you want to do? Because everybody in the group obviously understands the importance of what's
Yeah,
happening
what
right
you're
now. I mean,
emphasizing.
they haven't seen Withers in over 2.5 years. The last time they saw him was over 2.5 years ago, and a lot's changed. And all they hear about is how he's winning. He is Charlie Sheen winning all over the place. He's rich, he's
It's
powerful,
crazy that he's
he's
able to do that.
respected. Everybody loves him. He is the household name. He is like Winston Churchill to them. Like he is that guy.
That's a good
So he,
comparison
yeah, it
for
for
a leader.
notoriety.
For notoriety and leadership. Like, I'm not
So
saying he's a good leader, but you know what I mean.
he's a piece of shit, but
Yeah,
yeah, he's the guy who gets
he's
away with it,
known.
right?
He's known
Yeah,
for being able to be a piece of shit and being
he just
still
he gets
considered a
away with the
genius.
right things. Yeah, gets away with the right things. So with that in
Bastard,
mind,
fat
the
bastard,
group
motherfuckers.
talks. So
Sorry.
Andromeda goes out for a smoke. No worries. So Andromeda goes out for a smoke, thinks about it, and before he goes, I'm like, look, I am telling you about this. You have 24 hours to do this. You could rush it, but it's not going to be like you can just smash and grab him. You're going to have to do a bit of recon before you do it, and then go in there with what you got. You can rest for 8 hours, but just be aware that it's not going to be like you can just walk on there and find him alone. He's surrounded by 100 hippogriff riders and 2,000 other people. There's a lot of people on that boat. You've never been on it. You don't know where you're going. But I want to give you the option to do the thing you guys are good at. You can go in there on a submersible,
Send quick, yeah.
infiltrate, exfiltrate. You've done it before on ships. I know you as a person, and I want to
Quick has
make sure
done
you
it
have
efficiently.
the full thing. Yes. And actually quick volunteers to go there
Oh, good
and watch
job.
the boat because that's his bag. So they discuss it, and I just said, also I want you to know that I just I know how you are, and I think you should let him live. I think there's
Mmm.
worse things for people than death. I
Oh,
also know that he happens to own most of the infrastructure that you want to possess because he's been talking to me
yeah.
decks and stuff about
You
what he
need to
wants to do in the
take it
future.
so it doesn't go to waste.
Exactly. I'm like, I just know you as a person and a player, and this is a missed opportunity if you just straight up kill him. Because then they start talking about like torturing him and how they were gonna kill him.
I
He's like, I
mean,
want his
you're a
head.
piece of shit for giving the ultimatum to let him live or get revenge, but I see what you're doing there. I
Hey
see
man, that's
you're a
that's
piece of shit for trying to
hey,
let it
that's King
slide.
Ash. It's not me. King Ash let him know. Nothing.
Okay, MrMan. Okay, King Ash. I
But
see you
yes,
though. I
I
see
give
through
him the
you.
choice. So the spoiler is he doesn't go for it. He's like, no, you're right. I'm
Yes.
gonna let him live.
Oh, damn it. I thought you
I'm like,
said going for it. He's
okay.
not going for it as in he's not going for the letting him live. I misinterpreted.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I was surprised too. I honestly thought with the strong feelings that he was giving me, justified, right? This fucking man had his character raped in
Eh,
front of the entire crew by
Yeah,
two separate
it
men.
almost ended the fucking game.
Yeah, it almost ended the game too. Like this was a big deal, and we haven't really touched on it since then either because it's not something you really talk about IRL or in game, right?
Yeah.
So all these feelings are flooding to him, and he's like, "Yes, I have him," and he's like Jack now too. He's got all these god powers that because he's the chosen of dukes. He's like, "I fucking got this," and I could see this in him. Like, good, this is how I wanted him to feel. So if he's gonna go in there and kill him, it'll be under his direct. I'm like, I will not stop you, but I'm also letting you know, like, I'm not making it easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk. You're going to have to make checks. I recommend sending in Quick first. So then they start talking about long term, and Quick's like, well, we got 5 years here. I don't mind just tailing him for 5 years until you want to make your move, which is crazy too,
Ooh.
right? He could go down there. There's a huge aircraft carrier. There's lots of places for a halfling really good at hiding to hide. So he could actually stow away on it and go and be Wither's tail for years until they feel like they want to make their move. I likened it to Count of Monte Cristo or Monte Cristo,
That makes sense.
where
Yeah, okay.
or the Man in the Iron Mask. You know what I'm talking about? Like these guys who have these big, long, elaborate payback schemes. I thought that would be cool to add to the book. So that's kind of why I wanted to push them in that direction too. But at the same time, I know the player of Andromeda, and he's gonna fucking make it his own in some sort of way, which makes it cooler.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he doesn't take it though. He's like, no, it's fine. So I'm like, all right, cool. Now
What a
we're gonna
good
skip
guy.
to the skip to the next portion because now he's thinking long term. I'm also so with that in mind, I'm like, this
I
is your
mean, based
window.
off of like the character profile of Andromeda, that's actual growth from the person too. I like that.
It is, but it's also he's a canny dude, and I have to make sure he has that option. And
Yeah,
once I
for
gave him the
sure.
option, I was sure he was going to take it. I was like, no,
You're a good
he's
friend for
he's going to
considering
think
that.
about what he's going to think about what I'm saying. He's going to kick himself if he just straight up kills him and then finds out there was all this stuff he could have got instead.
Plus, his party would fucking
Oh
kick
my
him.
god. So he takes it. So the group then, I tell them, so now you're going to see the representatives. So 2 days later, now I say 2 days later, a man arrives in a teleportation circle with a bunch of attendants. He just pop appears straight in the middle of the courtyard. This is high powered magic. The ability to teleport circle is 8th level spell. Couple things
Ooh,
should spring to
okay.
mind: whether or not he can fight off Tixis, and two, whether it was actually magic. Because, well, I'll tell you who appears. Now, I said 2 days passed. I also told you that Withers was supposed to arrive in one day. The whole entire group missed that. All of them missed it. I just skipped by it. That's right.
That's
I told them
funny.
you have 24 hours when King Ash said that he thought that boat would arrive. And they're like, no, it's fine. Like
Okay.
2 days pass, and this guy arrived, and Withers didn't arrive. And they were like, but they still hadn't picked it up. So I actually get through all the representatives before anybody realizes Withers didn't arrive. So I'm going to do the first one. So I describe him pretty much like what I'm going to say. A man appears in the courtyard. He startles everybody. In the midst of him are two, or sorry, and he is naked except for a small cod piece covering his privates. To either side of him are two completely naked women with fronds to cool him. So basically, picture like palm fronds and the
Yeah,
girls cooling him. Although, of course,
like the
he's
leaf
now in King's
fan, the
Hold,
fan
where it's
leaves
fucking
type thing.
yeah, fan leaves. Only he's now in the middle of a cold area, but they're still doing their job.
Because it's
With him are
status, it's
five.
not practical.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, not five attendants. Six attendants, and then a seventh attendant. He is surrounded by all of them. Arrives smack dab in the middle. Everybody's fucking startled. In the middle of his forehead is a blue gem that gleams. I'll
Ooh,
just give you inside
fancy.
baseball. It's a magic item that lets him do that. That they made almost immediately
You
because
say you'll give
Sort
me the
is
inside baseball?
yeah, well everybody, right? Like
I
he's
didn't know if that
from
was a
Sort,
term or not.
it's
That's
the
that's
desert.
new to
Yeah,
me.
he's from Sort, which is modeled on that desert empire or the desert game Dark Sun that I was
Oh,
gonna do.
oh yeah, okay,
I
okay.
say that the man you look at, his skin has been cut for the first layer of it so that he is completely scarred head to toe. He's also missing an eye on his left side. He is huge and buff and tan, and he looks like Conan. And of course, as soon
Oh,
as I started describing how the skin had been ripped off, they knew exactly who I was talking about. I say he
Kanan.
introduces himself in Swordian as Mitra.
Ooh, okay, that sounds like a Conan god. Yeah, I think that is a
Do you
Conan
remember?
god or goddess.
Do you remember the name Mitra?
No, I do not. Vaguely,
Mitra
Mitra's familiar, I should say.
Mitra was the name of Quick's character in Dark Sun. He
Oh,
introduces
that's
himself as
where it
King
started.
Mitra.
That's right. Fuck.
He also says that he is there to represent the seven kingdoms of Sort, one of which, and he starts listing off the rulers: King Boulder, King Eldarel,
Oh, I
Uatib,
remember.
and then I basically made all their old characters in Dark Suns the kings of
It's
the
been so long since
individual
I heard those
settlements
names.
in
I don't
Sort.
even. I
I
know.
just like the names and I wanted cool rulers. So that was just a little Easter egg for them. I'm like, they're not exactly your old characters, but you can liken them enough that it'll make your nostalgia bone happy. So, with that in mind, Mitra, almost naked, is showing his power too. Remember in Dark Sun, it's kind of it's a little bit sexual undertones because it was made in the 80s when stuff was fun. And the whole thing, the more wealthy you were in tier, which is sort for me, the less clothing you wore because you were basically telling people, I'm so rich and powerful, I don't even need clothes to protect me from the sun. So the more naked you were, the more sign of power and privilege it was. So Mitra arriving almost butt ass naked in the middle of this cold climate was like him flexing in front of everybody, Hulk Hogan style. Like,
That's
fuck
pretty
all
funny.
of you, I'm powerful, I'm here. So he announces himself, he lists off all the kings, he says he represents all of them, he is the current dictator for all of them, because they're almost like a republic, and they send him to do that. Uh, then he makes his way towards the battle hall where all of them stay. So he arrives. Then 2 days later, the representative from Fangorn arrives. He arrives on the back of a manticore with a green dragon at his heel. He arrives in the middle and lands in the courtyard. He speaks to the green dragon and he speaks to the manticore, in Fangorian, which only a few of the group understand, but the Zverg who wants to be a polyglot, Zverg understands and is able to actually hear what he says. He tells the Manticore, which is totally subservient to him, to wait and kill anybody that tries to touch it. And then he warns everybody that anybody who tries to touch the Fangor or tries to touch the Manticore will die. So that's satisfied for as a Manticore. And then he also speaks to the Green Dragon and tells him to keep an eye on the Manticore so it doesn't like eat anybody needlessly. The dragon is subservient to this druid.
Oh,
That's a
really?
huge
You can
deal.
control a
Yes,
dragon, dude?
correct. And not only that, Zverg senses 4 spells were actively running on him. 4 spells of such high power and high caliber that he actually surmises that this is the leader of Fangorn. The leader himself came here to come over and choose the next High Protector.
That's
So
pretty
these are like
sick.
very powerful people. So far, you've got 3 actual rulers of them there, like right, 3 actual rulers of 3 of the countries there right now. So this is a very important decision, is with the gravity and what I'm trying to get across to them. Plus, they get to hobnob with all the rulers of the world.
What?
So with that in mind, they see all this go down. They learn a lot about the Fangorian Druid. He does not announce himself like Mitra does. He basically talks to his animals, or his not animals, because monstrous companions, will say, and then struts across the courtyard without even looking at anyone and straight into the battle hall to his room. Again, I tried to make him haughty, and so that he was somewhat mysterious. Now, there's only one person who hasn't arrived yet, or one representative, I should say, who hasn't arrived yet. One day after the last one arrives, Withers arrives, and he arrives to fanfare. He brings his aircraft carrier right into the bay at dawn. He's been parked outside of this place, waiting to be the last one to arrive for 6 days. He was fashionably late, as only Withers can be. So, him and 100 hippogriff riders fly not in unison, there's a name, in formation and land in formation in the middle of the courtyard. He takes his time so everybody can see them coming in, so that everybody from Galdren in the garrison can come out and cheer him on. He hovers 100 feet in the air above the whole courtyard to let everybody cheer his name and give him adulation. And this is the first time in 2 years they get to visually see their nemesis. They're already
Yes.
talking, and I'm like, I go to describe him, and they just start interrupting, and they're like, he looks like shit, doesn't he? He looks gross and haggard. And
Fucking
I'm like,
pussy.
no, he
Faggot.
looks like a fucking Chad. The last time you saw him,
Oh, that's
he was
disrespectful.
somewhat portly. He drank a little too much.
You're a
He
dick.
just looked like a fucking dickhole. But now he looks like a Chad. Everything about him looks better. He sits on a hippogriff like he's ridden it his whole life. His jaw seems bigger. His bearing seems more regal. Everything about him seems better.
He's
And it
just a
just fucking
dick.
angers you to your core. Fuck, Andromeda was so mad. I'm like, you want to say it, but he is good looking now too as a female. She's like, ah. I'm like,
So,
and there's
Withers
something else you
transitioned?
can sense. And like, do you remember the movie Highlander, where 2 Highlanders could sense each other when they were within
I've
proximity?
never
He's
seen
like,
Highlander,
yes. So
personally.
Highlander, that's what they can do. 2 Highlanders can sense each other when they're in proximity so that they can battle. So in this sense, I'm like, you look at Withers and you realize he's a fellow champion. And of course, you put it together immediately. Grim chose him, didn't he? I'm like, well, yeah, you said no to Grim, because remember, I gave him a choice between Duke and Grim to be the champion of Duke or be the champion of Grim. He said no to Grim. So Grim went to someone else. Someone else who had actually done a lot for pushing his name, because Withers was the one pushing the naval battle. The only reason that he preferred Andromeda to Withers is because Andromeda had the invention that made more dead bodies go into the ocean than anything else.
Oh,
His
really?
submersibles killed far more people in proportion than Withers' naval battles. Because most naval battles with Galdren weren't naval battles. They outnumbered and outgunned all of their competition so much, they were just glorified embargo, or they were just blockaders. They blockaded ports, and then they shelled them from the shore. They never really had any ship-to-ship fighting. So while Withers did a lot to spread Grimm's name, sheer dead bodies was all Andromeda. So he went to Andromeda first. She scorned him, went with Duke instead. So he's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm going to pick this guy instead, who just happens to be your nemesis, which is just funny happenstance. but also kind of funny having stats. So then he picks her. So now Withers is jacked up, just like she got jacked up. And now he's realizing that I almost sent him into a trap. Because if he would have ran at Withers thinking he was old Withers and tried to abduct him, it would have went really badly for him.
You should have let him if he wants to
And
make that
I
decision.
did not hint at all that Withers had been fucked with in any way. I wanted them to have total surprise on my side if they decided to go through with the abduction.
I see it. I
And
see
now
what
he's
you're saying.
realizing it was probably good that he did. And yes, that was devious of me, but that's my fucking job. So he
Don't be
hovers
a
up above him
dickhead.
for 100 feet and then slowly descends. He sees Andromeda as soon as he gets off his horse, stares her dead in the eyes and mouths her name, and then it's like a switch flicks, and he doesn't pay any more attention to her. He struts to the front of there and, like Mitra before him, announces who he is. He barely gets through his whole name before the Galdren cheering from the Hippogriff Riders too, who stamp their lances down. Overwhelming. And he just stands there like Donald Trump, big grin
Oh,
on his
dude.
face, just drinking it in. He's loving it. And he's loving doing it in front of Andromeda. He gives everybody his perfect teeth winning smile and
How's
walks away to the middle.
is it
Go ahead.
Polster, right? That plays
Yeah, it's
Andromeda.
Varric. No,
Wait,
no.
no, wait. Who plays fucking
Polster
Andromeda?
is Varric. Polster is Varric.
That's right. Polster's
Andromeda.
very.
Andromeda's not on Discord.
All right, just making sure. I just want
So
to make sure
yeah,
who I was talking to. All right, I was gonna say
all good, man.
Andromeda. Andromeda
So
seems like they would take this personally, and I was gonna ask like how they're taking.
I was just getting to it. So
Okay.
he gets there. All good, man. You want to know exactly what I'm about to tell you. It's awesome. So he gets to where like the podium would be in his mind to stop and speak, which is just on the outskirts of the hippogriff
For sure.
formation. Stops, and now he's addressing basically. Mitra comes out to greet him. The Fangorian druid does not. Mitra seems to be like acting like an actual ruler would in diplomatic wise. Like comes out, greets the people when they arrive, stands there, does his duty, and goes back in as a show of respect to the other countries. The Fangorian guy does not do that, and he stands out there. He rolls his eyes at the pomposity of it all, but it's not his place to judge a different culture when he's standing there with his dick out. And the Fangorian guy does come only to see what all the racket's about, and he doesn't even leave the battle hall. He just stands at the door. So everybody's there in time to witness Andromeda staring at him. Everybody knows who Andromeda is. They saw her turn 10 feet tall and kill fucking anything that moved. Saw her call lightning from the sky and fry a goddamn vampire. She did get the killing blow, by the way.
Oh, she did.
Fucking killed the goddamn vampire. Like, they've seen her do some shit. So she looks him in the eye and harumphs and turns her back and walks away while he's mid speech. He does not even miss a beat because I've been trying to get across it. He's a better statesman and everything. But I have Sverg, who's everybody else leaves except for Sverg, who wants to stay and keep an eye on things. But Shaw turns his back on him, who's also a hero of the watch, and walks out. So this is a huge diplomatic snub to Withers, and it's the best he can do. And I
Yeah,
actually
it's,
had to
it's the
talk
best you can
him
do
and
without being
Quick.
beheaded.
Yeah, I had to talk him and Quick both off of fucking ledges. Now, to
Oh,
Quick's
really?
defense, he
Why?
was a little drunk. Well, Quick was a little bit drunk, and he was feeling ballsy, and he's been able to get away with it a few times, so he figured he'd try and steal a spell from the druid. But the caveat is you have to shoot an arrow or stab him in the back to actually steal the spell. You can't just pull it out. It has to be part of an attack. So I'm like, you want to attack a guy that can control dragons just to find out a spell. So I had to beat him down with logic until he was finally like,
Oh,
fine.
was he drinking?
Like, look, sorry?
Was he drinking or something?
Yeah, he was drinking. That's
Oh,
why I
okay,
had to
I was
talk
gonna say.
him down.
I was
So
gonna
once
say.
I beat him down with logic, he was like, okay, you're right. I'm like, look, any other time's fine, but you're literally going to die for no purpose. Like, you're not going to accomplish anything. Everyone's going to turn on you, and you could actually start another fucking war. I'm like, don't, man. Just don't. So that finally got through to him, and I appreciate him for doing that. I really do. Because it would have been needless. Andromeda almost did the fucking same thing. So Andromeda goes and says, well, I want to slap him. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. I just said this to Quick. You were around all this diplomacy stuff, right? You're around all these people, and you want to attack these other powerful people in front of so many witnesses. Like, this is bad. And to his credit, Andromeda did not even no hissy fits, no nothing. He just sat there for a minute, thought. He's like, no, I'm going to turn my back on him and walk out. And goddamn, I could have fucking just
That's
thrown my
sassy as
hands
fuck.
in the sky and praised Jesus. I was like, thank you. That's what I'm dying to see is
I was gonna
thinking
say
outside the box.
that's a sassy move, so that makes sense for Andromeda, especially since they've grown
Fucking
as a
right.
person in game as well.
Exactly. It's like you can grow as a statesman. Well, I can grow as a stateswoman. Turns his back on him, walks out with his buddies. Little bit of a kerfuffle, but again, like I said, Withers doesn't falter, but his eyes never leave Andromeda as soon as he sees her. Even when he's obsessed with her, right? And the object, and he didn't even know she was here. That's well, he did, and he did, and he didn't. He didn't know she was here when he was already on his way here because he didn't know where the group was exactly. He has people scrying to find her, but again, she kept going out to this same fucking area of woods every day, so he wasn't sure if she was with the group or not. He had a feeling like she's not gonna leave the guys that have been there for her from day one. But the same token, he doesn't know. So now that she's there in his grasp again, right fucking in front of him, he can't let the obsession go. And everybody else knows he's obsessed with her. It's kind of that dirty little secret. But I had to explain to him too that now that you've been talking to the soldiers and you've had some downtime and Shaw is such good friends with everybody, he's learned that there's two versions of what's going on. One is like a conspiracy theory, which is the truth, and the other one is the accepted one. What I can liken this to is JFK getting assassinated, or one of those big things where everybody believes one thing, but there's always this little bed of other people that believe something else. And in this
Yeah.
case, the little bed of people that believe something else are really, they're the ones that are correct. Like the conspiracy theorists are correct on this one. So the conspiracy theory is she is just some woman that Withers became obsessed with when he got stuck on a boat with her, which is pretty much, or an
Oh,
island with her,
slander
which is
and
pretty much the
slander.
truth, right?
You spread the
And that's
real
what the
rumor.
soldiers, yeah, soldiers told him that, right? Because all the guys that were there with him didn't really like Withers, so they were like, "Who's this dumb whore?" So they just threw her name in the mud and told people the truth. Withers said something else. This is the criminal that Withers prevented from taking over the settlement after she murdered her master and
Sure.
everybody else. He basically did, he flipped it, right? Everything he did, he said Andromeda did instead. And I also remember that when they arrived on the island, there were orders to arrest her on sight as a terrorist
Hold
against
that thought.
Galdren.
I gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna get a drink, so just pause it.
I'm gonna pause the recording too. But I'll be right back.